She don't love me, she love my automobile. She don't love me, she love my automobile. But she would do anything just to slide behind the wheel. She said, what's it gonna take for you?
All right, welcome back. This is Dayton Voss in for Groove Dog Industries, and we got a special video for y'all today. Kind of short and a little bit different from what I've been doing, but I've only got a few videos out right now, or we've only got a few videos out right now. But this is one of my favorite subjects, which is old car spotting. Now, I say spotting because I can't buy all the ones I want. We do have an old vehicle now. We'll tell you about the story on that coming up here in just a little while. But I like to go out and look at them and spot them. And maybe if other people are interested, you can contact me and I'll tell you where they're at. But this is old car spotting in Abilene, and I kind of cheated and went out a little ways to Caps. But Caps is only about 5 miles out of town, so that's not really cheating. I enjoy the hell out of old cars. I think they're awesome. I don't care much for new cars. In fact, I drive an '05 Tahoe. So anyway, wanted to say thank you guys for tuning into my videos. I know they're kind of still just getting the channel off the ground. I greatly appreciate y'all checking out all of our stuff. You can always get the Screw Ukraine shirt or the Pencil Neck Geek shirt if you'll check in the links down below. There won't be a whole lot of links on this one because, well, I was old car spotting. And a lot of these are taken out of the window of the truck. And there's only about, well, I had to cheat a little bit because I only spotted about 25 different vehicles, and that would make for a fairly short video. And a lot of them, like there was 7 or 8 at one place. So that would make, like I said, for a very short video. So I also went in and see what's available on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Uh, Typically, my definition of an old car, is anything older than say 1988. Because I had to do that because of the Pontiac Fiero. I've always wanted a Fiero to drop a supercharged 3800 in and take it to the track and win all kinds of prizes, but never have done it. Want to, haven't done it. But I go 88 because of the damn Fiero. And also, I'll go a little older than that as it pertains to Firebirds and Trans Ams. Not so much Camaros, and Mustangs sometimes. But I'll go a little bit older than that for those, especially the convertible Firebirds and Trans Ams. Don't know why I'm like that, but I am. And also not too much into sedans at all, but there are some that show up, especially caddies. I got a soft spot in my heart for caddies, always will. Dream car, 79 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, one of my dream cars. Also, I'm crazy about the 73 through 77 Chevy Malibus, which I know is crazy, but man, the Cutlasses and all those, but the Malibus really were the ones that I liked the most. The Coupes, obviously, but the Cutlasses, the Regals. I had a Regal in Hawaii when I was in the Navy. It was, I forget what they called that thing, but it was like a 76 or 77, but it was the the Regal with everything. I had the sunroof or the T-tops, and that car was beautiful, or it would have been if it wasn't a complete and total rust bucket because it was in Hawaii. And you could literally crack a beer, get a lawn chair, and watch stuff rust. And it was just pitiful to see that thing rust away like that. But that's what happens over there. It's one of the things I like about Abilene when it comes to old car hunting. Most of them are not rust buckets because things don't rust around here because there ain't no humidity, which is good for a lot of things except my allergies. I guess I've given up on ever not being stopped up again because I live in Abilene. And a guy told me the other day he's allergic to Abilene. I don't know what the hell I got, but man, I can't breathe here. I just can't breathe. Anyway, enough about me and my nostrils, and we'll get on to talking about old cars. All right, on this first bunch that I'm going to be showing you, these are all in a storage area just down the street from me. Well, not just down the street. It's a place you pretty much always have to go. my way of finding my way out of here because I'm still having to get around on GPS in Abilene. But the other thing about most, I'll tell you when we get to the Facebook and the Craigslist cars, but all of this first bunch I'm going to show you, if they're for sale, they sure are making it very difficult to find out that they're for sale. They're not listed anywhere that I can find. They're not on Craigslist. They're not on Facebook Marketplace, and I haven't seen them on autos.com or anywhere else. But anyway, that's a caveat I probably should have added in the intro there. This first one, I believe, is an F-250. Every time I zoom in on it, it looks like a 250 from the mid-70s, I would say. And then you've got a F-100 Ranger, which with minus a rear bumper, I didn't notice that, but holds a special place in my heart, and I'll tell you why towards the end of this. And then here we go to the sad part. I find it rather sad that this poor caddy is sitting out there with a torn up roof, and on the rare occasion that it rains in Abilene, this poor guy is exposed. That bums me out. And then he's got two Caddy Eldorado convertibles in there. This one I would have liked to have gotten a lot closer to. It's fairly new on the lot, but looking pretty good. And I did mention that sometimes when sedans, I'm not really a big sedan fan, but this particular model of the coupe or the sedan DeVille, I thought were some great years. The Coupe DeVille, I don't like them after 79 because I hate the way that they notched the rear window. 79 had a nice slope on it, which was cool. Wasn't so great for the sedans, I didn't think. They started looking really good in 1980, and then they ruined them. They absolutely ruined them later that decade. Though I did have a 1990 Cadillac sedan DeVille that had the best freaking air conditioner of any vehicle I've ever owned. But boy, was it a mess. In fact, when I got it, because dude owed us some money, and he gave us that car instead, it was so full of roaches. I like to never got those roaches out of there because he let his kids put candy in there and everywhere. And it was in Florida, had a lot of roaches. Pretty gross. All right, so moving right along, same lot now. There's like 11 cars on this lot. Maybe it was 13. This one I would have liked to have got a much better picture of. Old Impala or Caprice, I can't tell from here. Looks like an Impala. Used to know where one of these was in Alpha, Florida. But it eventually got sold. It was the SS. This does not look like an SS from way back where I had to be. I was really wishing I could have got in this lot, but no, not to be. And here's a Cutlass minus all its glass. I bet that's probably what somebody used it for, was the glass, and then just stuck it there in storage. But it is an Abilene. Could be a long time before it does rust. All right. He had a pair of Mustangs too. Not my favorite ride. I'm not really a Ford dude. With the possible exception of the 69, 70, and 71 Mustangs, and the any Torino Cobra, or Cobra Torino, however you want to put it, and of course the 1973 Torino Grand Sport. That's one of my favorite Fords, but I'm not really crazy about Fords. But a couple Mustangs. I guess everybody's got to have a couple Mustangs. Then this nice old step-side truck just sitting there rusting away. I hate that. That could be a beauty right there. And a T-Bird. I had a mid-80s T-Bird, which had a 5.0 under the hood, and that car would fly. I mean, fly. And then I was at a red light on Back Beach Road in Panama City Beach, Florida, and some gal wasn't paying attention and slammed into the back of my Thunderbird, and it looked like some big giant had just stepped on it, and the bumper was on the daggum ground. And the body shop said, well, we can just cut it in half and weld you on a new rear half. And then I said, no, total it, dude. I ain't fixing to do that. But it was terrible seeing that car go because it would fly. And then I spotted this one. I couldn't tell if this was a Sunbird or Monza or what. All the emblems are gone out of it. I think with these slats over the taillights, you could pretty much say that's Pontiac Sunbird, but can't say with any certainty. And then if you're into them, Pretty sad looking Miata convertible. I am not going to count this among old cars, but I just thought it was, I don't know, kind of funny. There it was sitting next to one of the Eldorados. So down the street and around the corner, I spotted this beauty. A looks to me like a '68 deuce and a quarter coupe, which brings back childhood memories because we had a '68 sedan version of this that later when my dad got it back from my mom, somebody broke into it, and the only thing they stole was the little metal Kleenex box which hung under the dash on a swivel. Just look at how big that trunk is. That was a bummer. But a huge Buick with a big gigantic V8 underneath. The car I learned to drive in actually. And then had a spotted this Firebird a few weeks back and remembered how to get there, and there it is. Looks like a Mustang just in front of it. Somebody needs to do something about this bird or it's going to get taken over by the weeds. Sprawled out picture of the Ford Maverick over off to the right, one of my most hated cars ever. There's the back end of a Rally Sport Camaro, seen better days. Now this here was a lot that also had a lot of vehicles on it. Guys fairly into his Cutlasses and Firebirds. A couple of nice looking. There's a 71 it looks like right there, and I can't tell. It looks like a 75, but the vinyl top has screwed up the roof on this one. There it is from a distance, and a little close up on the mid 70s Cutlass. That looks like a beauty. If somebody was into a little bit of metal work on the roof, that'd be a nice one. And there's a few of the cars he's got. It looks like a Trans Am back there. Next to it was a later model Firebird. There's another Cutlass over to the left. Looks like a Z28 convertible Camaro, along with a K5 Blazer. K5 Blazer looking good, but they've never made an ugly one. Beautiful. There's that. Yeah, that does look like a Z28, not a bird. And spotted this one headed on Treadway Boulevard when I was headed down to 707 to make the loop, where I knew there was a few more. And I saw this one there in caps. And when I saw this car, I asked the same question that I asked way back in the 70s when I saw it for the first time. Why? Why would you build something like that? But they did. They built them. Nobody knows why. When we all know why they cut them out, because apparently the sports model edition of these blowed up real good, as John Candy would say. Then I call this part the Catalinas and Continentals because this dude was into both. Like a Pontiac Catalina there, which probably needs almost everything. I couldn't get up very close to these because the grass was extremely high, and there are these things here in Texas called rattlesnakes. You may remember our rattlesnake roundup video. If not, go back and check out all our other stuff. That's just a couple of videos back, and that recent of a altercation with rattlesnakes, I had me kind of thinking, I ain't going in through all that high grass. So a lot of these are zoomed in on. And that's zoom out, but it looks like a Mark III back there. There's another Continental, and it is a coupe next door, but I couldn't tell what year it was. An Elko right behind it. And then this beauty was back there, and I can't figure out if that's a Bonneville or a Catalina or what. But here again, I could not walk up to it, or I would have. And a little far picture from afar. Now this one, this Firebird I spotted, and it was right in somebody's front yard, right up next to the house. So it was hard to get a good picture of it without them coming out with a shotgun and saying, "Hey, get on out of here, get!" But anyway, I took a look at that. Took a picture of it on this side, then got it on the other side a little closer up. They couldn't see me as far as I knew over there, or is good. And then on the way back to Abilene, I spotted this one, and not my favorite years of Camaro. I just think that was a huge blunder, but they are coming up in the collector world. And then this is coming back in the neighborhood. I see this vehicle almost every day. Here's a little better look at it. It is a long wheelbase, if you can't tell from that. Looks like it might have a little front tire flat. And then this one I see almost every day as well. Here's a little bit of closer up picture of it. Now I got to tell you, I was going down the street and the guy had his garage door open, maybe 3 houses past this Elko, and I spotted the back end of what looked to be a 78 or 79 Eldorado Biarritz. And I just couldn't sneak up there close enough to get a picture, or I would have. The problem would have been if it had had the red leather interior, I might have just melted there in the dude's driveway, and he would have had to come out with a pressure washer. And yeah, kind of gross. Anyway, that was that part of the trip. I think I've gotten so where I really can't put a lot of Craigslist cars on here, but I do want to show you a couple of different vehicles. One of them happens to be ours in Anson, Texas, which is where my wife grew up. This next picture is, believe it or not, a satellite picture of this truck. I've been meaning to take pictures of this truck for I don't know how long since I've been coming here in December. But it's been sitting in that spot, well, this spot where it sits, since 1996. Now, my wife grew up very close to where this truck is and where this house is, and she knew the people real well. And she looked it up and to see when the lady had passed away. She said that lady drove that truck all the time, and when she died, she parked it right there, and it's been sitting there since 1996. Doesn't have any wheels on it, so if you're going to go get it, you might want to think about that. But I don't know who you'd contact, what you'd have to do. And then this next truck is our project. All right, I have mentioned a couple times that I am not a Ford guy. It's just not my thing. Not too many Fords that I really care for. 78, 79 Bronco, the aforementioned Mustangs, Torinos, anything with the word Cobra attached to it, except the Mustang too. Those are all pretty groovy cars. But this particular truck, this 76 F100, was my wife's brother's truck. He bought this from a Ford dealership, which still is in the same family in Anson, Texas, but he bought it in brand new 1976. It is a, like I said, 76 F100. I did looked up all the stuff on the VIN. Notice I didn't say VIN number because VIN means vehicle identification number. And if I had said VIN number, I would have been saying vehicle identification number. I just don't do that whole redundancy thing, man. But anyway, looked it all up, and it is a legit 390 under the hood. Somehow, when people look these up, they miraculously all have 390s. This thing had engine options out the yin yang, but it is an actual 390. So anyway, the story was he got out of the Navy, or came on leave back to Anson, went to the Ford dealership, bought the truck brand new, drove it back out to San Diego where he was stationed, and was going to come back home on leave not a little bit later, but he wanted to go to the beach one last time before he came home, and he drowned. And so they eventually got the truck back to Anson, parked it on the farm. It stayed parked for a while. Dad couldn't bring himself to use it, and then he finally got to where he was okay. He'd use it, and he used it. And I don't know if it quit working or what the deal is, but it's been sitting there for quite some time. But long before I was in the picture, my wife asked her mom if she could have that truck, and her mom said sure. So it's our project. It's going to take a while to make it happen. You can't see it in the pictures, but just behind that there's a big old metal building where we're going to pull that thing in and do what we can to put it back together. So that's the project part of this video, and that's going to be an ongoing deal. I would imagine there will be several videos of that before the whole truck is said and done. But I do want to put it back to the way it was when the guy bought it off the showroom floor, if at all possible. All right, that's going to wrap this one up. I was just out buying some beer a little earlier, some breakfast stout, because Pilsner sucks and IPAs, they don't even rate that. But I went out and bought some more stout beer and spotted no less than 4 more vehicles, some of them cruising down the road. There's definitely going to be a volume 2 to this. I hope you're into old cars, because I sure am. So this is Dayton Voss for Groove Dog Industries. We're checking out I would like it, if you think about it, get down there and buy yourself a Ukraine shirt or a Pencil Neck Geek shirt, because you may be a Pencil Neck Geek. Ask around, you never know. And screw Ukraine, because screw Ukraine. And this is Dave Navos reminding you that this is the day the Lord has made, so why don't you find a way to rejoice and be glad in it.